Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James, joined once again by my co-host Cody. Cody, how are you this fine Tuesday afternoon?
I don't know which way you're pointing, but I'm not over there.
I don't know which way you are. All I can see is you in front of me. And
that's fair. James, I am fantastic. I am doing lovely. It's a Tuesday. We got to work together today. My shoulder popped out a little yesterday. It's feeling better today. You know, I had a big muscular man helping me out today. James, I appreciate the help. James, how are you, my guy?
Man, I'm good, and I'll tell you what, if you need me to just grab onto that arm and yank on it and see if we can pop it back in, I'll do it.
Nah. I'm going to pass on that one. Hardcore pass.
I volunteered to do that for somebody's thumb this morning. He also passed.
He also passed.
Shocking. Very shocking.
Real exciting news, guys. Training camp has basically officially begun. Let's be real. Training camp is here. I'm super excited. You're super excited. Hopefully you guys listening or watching on YouTube are super excited. Real quick, before we go over training camp stuff, because we're going to get to that, James and I are going to go over our camp sleepers. We're going to talk a couple injuries that Tomlin talked about today in a press conference, and then we're also going to go over the obvious recent rosters news and Steelers news in general. We do have Steelers bringing in 5 former USFL defensive linemen for workouts before signing Doug Costin, defensive lineman previously of the Birmingham Stallions, and also played with the Jaguars and Bengals when he was in the NFL. He's 6'2", 295. James, he's not making the team.
That's a decent-sized cat, right? But he's a little more of a 4'3" defensive tackle, so it doesn't really fit the mold of what Pittsburgh looks for. But obviously he's got some pass rush juice. Started 7 games with the Jaguars, so he does have some NFL pedigree and experience, which is exactly why he's here on the roster. He's going to get a chance to compete. He's probably going to play in some 3rd and 4th quarters in these preseason games this year. I wish there was a 4th one, man.
Oh, I do too.
I wish we still had that 4th preseason game.
I do too.
But, you know, it's going to be fun for these guys to get on the field. You never know. Maybe they'll try to play him a little bit at nose tackle, but I kind of doubt it. I think he's going to be used more as an end and a D tackle and the nickel defense. But hey, when you succeed in one league, the next league up gives you a shot sometimes. And this is a good example of how hard work pays off. You're seeing a lot of this all over, guys from the USFL getting a shot on NFL teams. And I know that's what drives guys like our local team, the Erie Express.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, you know, they're having a good season. They're up to 4-2 now. They got another win this weekend. Fantastic.
Big win. It was against the number one team in their division or their conference. I'm not 100% sure how that works yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. But 33-8, impressive win for the Erie Express.
Crushed them. Even an offensive lineman got in on the scoring. That was a fun one.
That was a real fun one. We like that. We like that a lot.
But yeah, you know, it's cool that it just shows. It gives people a little more motivation. Work a little harder on your craft, and you just never know what'll happen. So be neat to see if he gets a chance, maybe make the practice squad or stick around in Pittsburgh a little bit, but it'll at least be playing some preseason football. That's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Madden news next. So everyone knows the video game Madden, the legendary Madden game that was kind of the idea from John Madden, was on the cover for a while before they started doing players. Obviously, he passed away this past year, so that was a big thing. So Madden's a big deal for gamers, for sports fans, for all this stuff. Madden's a big game. Madden's the only football game out there. You expect them to get things right, correct? No, not all the time.
And not at this point.
No. The Madden ratings.
Yeah,
the Madden ratings came out for all the players across the league. TJ Watt, your 2021-2022 season Defensive Player of the Year was rated at a 96 overall in Madden. Myles Garrett was a 99. With that being said, this was the first time in 6 or 7 years that the Defensive Player of the Year was not rated 99 overall. And the lowest Defensive Player of the Year rating since in 8 years. The last guy would have been Luke Kuechly. Obviously had injury issues, so that might explain that. But 96 overall for the Defensive Player of the Year. 99 for a guy who beats people with helmets.
least we know now that there's some new categories in Madden that are a little heavier weighted than others. That's the aggravated assault category.
Oh, he
And
went
assault with a
there.
deadly weapon.
He went there.
These categories are clearly extremely heavily weighted because any other category, TJ Watt would absolutely annihilate Myles Garrett in. I mean, what did he have? About 10 sacks less than TJ last year, and he played more games.
Yeah.
So it's not even the same ballpark. This is a player in Myles Garrett who you should have a good rating for. He is a very good player. He is not a 99 overall player. He doesn't take over games the way TJ Watt does. And he certainly does not win Defensive Player of the Year. In fact, he probably wasn't even in consideration. We did a show right before the Defensive Player of the Year elected this year, and we actually compared the top 4 or 5 candidates. And I don't think Myles Garrett won a single category. Not tackles, definitely not sacks, not forced fumbles or fumbles recovered or
Nope.
batted passes, and none of the viable actual statistics. I'm not saying quarterback pressures. That's a completely opinion-based stat, so I don't really weigh that anywhere near as heavily as other people do. Just because you can have them be 5 feet away on one play and they call it a pressure, and the next play you're hitting the guy but don't get a sack and they don't call it a pressure. So it's all judgment on that as to where a tackle or a sack or a forced fumble is not a judgment call. It's a fact.
Big fact. Those things happened.
Yeah, and TJ led the league in almost every category when you're talking about those crucial stats in the top guys. He didn't lead the league in forced fumbles, but he had the most forced fumbles of all those guys. He had the most sacks of all those guys.
Yep.
He had the most tackles of all those guys. Like, how he could not be a 99 overall with the performance he just put on last year. We're tying the NFL sack record.
Breaking it. He broke it. They don't care. Statistically, officially did not break it, but we know he broke it.
In the play in question that Cody's referring to, if you don't remember, it was a muffed snap. So they didn't call it a sack due to the fact that it was a muffed snap. But by definition, if the quarterback recovers the ball and then attempts to advance it, it now is to be recorded as a statistic or a sack, again, assuming that he's behind the line of scrimmage when tackled, which he was. By definition, that was a sack, and so TJ should have broken the record by 1 sack.
He'll break it this year. That's okay. He'll break it this year.
It would be a really great middle finger to those statisticians to break it by like 3 or 4 sacks this year.
I would freaking love it. With that being said, real quick, James, we had talked about this before the show, but just a fun fact. In the last 20 years, I shouldn't say only one division. One division leads the league in most Defensive Player of the Year awards, and that is our AFC North. They have 7 over the last 20 years. 7 times out of the last 20 years. And let's be fair, but none of those came from the Cleveland Browns or Cincinnati Bengals. 4 of those coming from the Baltimore Ravens, and 3 of those coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had Troy Polamalu, obviously James Harrison, and TJ Watt all win the award. Ray Lewis won it twice, Ed Reed won it once, and Terrell Suggs also won it once for the Baltimore Ravens. Pretty impressive stat line there. It's not often you can have 3 different players win Defensive Player of the Year, and 2 teams from our division did it.
Impressive, too, honestly, that 7 years out of the last 20, it was one of those 2 teams claiming the title. Just kind of goes to show that defense is king in the AFC North. You know, if you've got a really good defense, you always have a chance.
Yeah.
And with Pittsburgh having led the league in sacks the last 5 years in a row, man, that's one of the reasons they keep on ending up in it.
Yeah,
right on the verge, getting in the playoffs. You know, the offense has been what's been holding them back. But they've been addressing that with high capital in the NFL draft. So,
yeah, that wasn't the case for the AFC East this past 20 years or so. It was whoever had Tom Brady was basically destroying them. So let's be real. So with that being said, we're going to move on to some sad news. Former 1994 first-round pick Charles Johnson. I don't have any knowing recollection of this player, unfortunately. But Charles Johnson, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, did pass away at the age of 50 years old. Played with the team for 5 years, James.
Yeah. Charles was never one of those guys to be considered an elite player in the NFL, but he was a reliable player. He had good athleticism. I want to say that he played with Cordell Stewart. I feel like I remember some Cordell Stewart to Charles Johnson vibes going on there. That was some real fun football back in that time frame. So a good player with the Steelers, gone way too young, man. 50 years old is way too young. So that's really sad to hear about that. Last I saw, they didn't have any obvious cause of death. So you hate to see that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, very sad. Like I said, I never saw him play or have any recollection. I remember seeing Cordell Stewart. That was about the time that I came into being a fan of football. Was Cordell Stewart, Tommy Maddox, that era of unfortunate quarterback play. Exciting for Cordell Stewart. He was crazy to watch.
But Tommy had some fun before the head injury.
That's fair. Kind of like Mason.
Very similar.
But again, this was very sad, and our heart, prayers, and thoughts go out to the family of Charles Johnson. 50 is crazy to me because I'm halfway there. Over, and that's scary. Yeah.
7 years away.
Stop. Oh, you close, my guy. Kraft. We're going to talk Kraft real quick because we're talking Heinz and Kraft. Kraft did reach a 5-year deal with the Steelers Stadium or Acrisure Stadium or whatever the frick you want to call it. One Heinz bottle, James. Will remain in the stadium.
And the deal is technically with the Steelers, not with the stadium.
That's fair.
Acrisure really doesn't really have anything to do with it. But it's nice to know that Heinz will still be in the stadium. It'll still be present. We're still going to have the Heinz red zone, although it'll be 100% digital now. But we had a digital effect on the scoreboard previously anyway, so
true.
It won't be drastically different. But it sounds as though the rumor is that there's a possibility you might be able to get your picture taken with one of the two bottles, as it's going to remain in the stadium in some capacity.
I'm going to lick it.
That'll be fun.
I'm going to lick it.
I wouldn't suggest that.
I'm just saying, I'm probably going to lick it.
I mean, maybe dip your fry in it.
No, that ain't go. It's going to be solid. Nah, bro. We licking it. I will put ketchup on it and then take a French fry through the ketchup that is on the big Heinz bottle. I'll do that.
Cody's motto: when in doubt, lick it.
Yep. Chat, you guys, listeners, viewers, it works. When in doubt, lick it. All right, moving on. Steelers did also release the running back / fullback, whatever you want to call him, Trey Edmonds, the day before everyone arrived to camp today on Tuesday. So on Monday, they released Trey Edmonds. Sad news for the Edmonds brother duo. We no longer have 4 brothers on the team. It's only 3. The Davis brothers, the Watt brothers, and the Hayward brothers are the last brothers remaining. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But Trey Edmonds again, you never really saw a lot from him, and when he was in the game or play, he was just 3rd string, 4th string running back. That's all about it was. So,
like, he was a better special teamer than he was a running back.
Yep.
And that's kind of why he hung around so long. I wouldn't be surprised if during the season Pittsburgh were to have a few injuries, if they were to call him back to the practice squad just to have the ability to call him up on game day, because he does have that flexibility and that versatility, being a good coverage guy, good at tackling the ball carrier on special teams. Just never, like you said, he never shined as a running back. And Pittsburgh's really trying to figure this whole thing out and get a viable option at the backup running back position, because it just hasn't been what we were hoping it to be thus far. You know, we've had a couple mid-round picks that are still on the team. They'll be trying out for the team again this year, but we're not getting out of them what we were hoping to get out of them at this point. So Pittsburgh went out and made a move, right? They went out and made a move today on Tuesday, signed running back Jeremy McNichols, a former 5th-round draft pick in 2017 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Apparently that year was the year that they had the HBO show there, Hard Knocks.
Yep.
And he was notorious for being the fifth round pick that didn't make the team.
Yikes.
But he's bounced around the NFL since then. I want to say he's got 130 carries in his career at this point. So he never really was used heavily at any team. So plenty of juice left in those legs, right? He doesn't have a lot of miles on his tires. So we'll see what he can contribute, but apparently he's a smaller guy, 5'8.5", 214 pounds. Ran a 4.49 40 back in 2017 at his combine.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he can add, but apparently a quick back with some receiving capability, and at least it's going to add to the room. It's going to be some more competition. If you're Benny Snell, if you're Anthony McFarland Jr., you're feeling the heat when they make a move like this. So you better bring your A game. You better make sure you're practicing when you're injured and playing through those little nicks and whatever all, because you could lose your job to this guy.
Yep, 100%. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that as training camp begins tomorrow. In training camp news, again, Mike Tomlin had a press conference earlier today and announced that Minkah Fitzpatrick was placed on the non-football injury list with a wrist injury. James, he did something stupid, apparently.
Apparently, while on vacation, fell off a bike. And apparently injured his wrist enough that it's not ready for football yet. So Tomlin did say that he does not expect it to be long-term. But yeah, it looks like Cody's wrist is working a lot better than Minkah's right now.
I fell off a bike when I was a child and broke my wrist, so I understand, but I was also pretending to play NASCAR on a bike. So, Minkah, what were you doing? We were pacing. We were doing like the warm-up, like where you pace back and forth with the tires, warming up the tires. But a truck came from behind me, and my buddy moved over in front of me. His back tire hit my front tire. My wrist hit the ground. Cody went to the hospital. It's okay. We're good now. Story time. Anyways, is basically what just happened. Another injury happened, or another injury was announced by Mike Tomlin today as well.
Yes, Tyson Alu is going to be placed, and actually has been placed already, on the PUP or physically unable to perform list, which basically just means he has an injury and is not ready to practice. They described it as a knee injury. He's got some swelling on his knee. Tomlin attributes it to overworking it. So he thinks he's working out too much, too hard. Needs to take a little time off, a little rest, and hopefully that will go down. When you're on the PUP list, here's the thing. You can come off at any time. They can take him off the PUP list tomorrow if they wanted to. So it doesn't matter. It just kind of protects the team, because if something were to happen, let's say they need to do surgery on this to clean up scar tissue or something causing the swelling in the knee, this does give them the ability to put them on the PUP list at the start of the season.
Yep.
If you're not on the PUP list now in the preseason, you can't go on it during the regular season. Once you've practiced, you're not eligible to go on it in the regular season. That doesn't even exist as an option for you. So he's the only one right now that could go on it, which would, of course, then free up a position, another spot for another guy. So we'll see. Let's pray that this is just a minor thing, because honestly, the defense really missed him against the run last year.
Yep, I will agree with that 100%. We obviously didn't have Stephon Tuitt last year. We're not having Stephon Tuitt this year. Tyson Alu wasn't here last year. We need him to be here and healthy this year to move forward with our defense and continue to grow and be better as a defense, especially a defensive front. So hopefully that is not a long-term thing. But again, if he gets surgery on it or whatever, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but we'll keep an eye on that and keep you guys informed as well.
Just from experience, if it's something like a meniscus, which does have a habit of swelling up, it's a surgery that you can come back from pretty quickly. You can be ready to go in a good 4 weeks or so. Some people, Ron Artest, I remember when he was playing for the Lakers back in the day, he actually had a surgery to clean up meniscus and then played a couple of days later. So it's possible to come back very quickly if need be from a meniscus, which again does have a habit of swelling up pretty badly when injured. So hopefully it's something minor like that.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. All right, now it's time for us to go over our camp sleepers. We're going to end the show with this. James, what do you got? You want me to go first? Or you want to go first? Doesn't matter.
For me, buddy, if you want me to get mine out of the way, I'm good with it.
I'm only worried that you have to reiterate. We don't know each other's camp sleepers. I'm worried that we have some of the same ones. That we're going to go over 3 of them, 3 each.
I can almost guarantee you that 2 of them you're not going to have. The third one, there's a danger.
Okay, then I know the third one, and I don't have him. All right, let's just. Do you want to do 1 and 1? Do you want to do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1?
Oh, all right. Go ahead. Yeah, you do your first one first.
Okay, I'll do my first one first. My first sleeper is going to be on the defensive side of the ball.
All right.
And is a player in the secondary. And is a rookie. My first player is a guy by the name of Chris Steele.
Kidding, I don't have him.
Okay, cool. Chris Steele, a rookie from USC, University of South Carolina, or California. Holy cow. 6'1", 190 pounds. Played 3 years at USC, totaling up 94 total tackles over that time. He also had 3 tackles for losses, a sack, and wound up having 3 interceptions. He had 0 his freshman year, 1 his sophomore year, and 2 his junior year. Continued to improve over time. Was really good in coverage. I like the size, 6'1", the lengthiness that he has. I think with how spotty our cornerback room has been, I believe there's a chance that Chris Steele sneaks on and maybe passes up some of the guys that were either riding the practice squad last year or bottom of the depth chart on the active roster. So Chris Steele is my first camp sleeper to watch for.
And a part of this we talked about before, just the whole cornerback room. Either it's the 3 guys that we know are going to be starters in the nickel with Levi Wallace, and Ahkello Witherspoon and Cam Sutton. Those are your 3 starters. Label them however you want, but those are our 3 starters. They're all 27. And then the rest of the room either has been there for a little while and hasn't showed any promise, or is about to not be under contract. And there's nobody that has shined that really looks like they could be a rising star in the backup situation right there. So I'm with you. I'm very hopeful that Chris Steele can show some. We don't have any reason to think he can't, right?
Yeah, I agree. So
got the size, athleticism, went to a big school, so he's got a shot.
It's about where I'm at, so we'll see how he does.
My first camp sleeper, and I'm pretty confident that Cody isn't going to have this one, but it's going to make sense to him as soon as I say it. On the offensive side of the ball, somebody who I think is going to get used a lot by our quarterbacks in the preseason, Mr. Jace Sternberger.
Okay. I almost put him down. I'm
a big Jace Sternberger guy because I saw him play in college, and he looked really good his last year in college. So he's a very good receiving tight end. Honestly got himself in trouble last year because he got busted with using some stuff to try to get an advantage and get a little bigger, which was his biggest weakness, was his size and strength. And that was what led to him not being a great blocker. But what we've learned here is that Pittsburgh has the right things in place to take a guy like Zach Gentry, who came onto the team as a rookie, 5th round pick, was too small, not good enough as a blocker, not experienced as a tight end as he was a quarterback transitioning to tight end. And then here we are 3 years later, and Zach Gentry is firmly planted as the number 2 tight end and really had a real big turnaround last year. Bulked up all the way to 280 and became a very good blocker and a reliable receiver as well. So I think that Jace Sternberger has the potential. He has the receiving side of things down. And I think when you're talking about having a better talent at the number 3 quarterback, whoever it ends up in a preseason game, whether it's Mason Rudolph going 3rd, Kenny Pickett going 3rd, Mitchell Trubisky going 3rd, whoever it is, all 3 of those guys are a lot higher talent level than what we're used to.
True.
That 3rd quarterback, even at the 2nd quarterback, whichever one of them it is, might be better than what we're used to previously, which means these guys playing in that intermediate role in the 2nd and 3rd quarter of games, while there's still some talent out there, really going to have an opportunity to show what they've got, because there's going to be some decent blocking still, some decent running back play, some good quarterbacks, some decent wide receivers. you should be able to flex a little bit. And I think Jay Sternberger is going to get the chance to do that this preseason.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I think it'd be fun, and I'm excited to see him at the tight end position again. Kevin Rader being the guy he'd bump off more than likely. You can't imagine Gentry or Fryermuth at this point's going to be off the team for any reason, other than if anything crazy happened. I'm not going to speak about it. Anyways, my second sleeper is on the offensive side of the ball.
All right.
My second sleeper is a wide receiver.
Well, sounds like last year.
It's always there's always sneaky wide receivers. And speaking of sneaky, he's a small, quick guy. Tyler Snead is my camp sleeper. Tyler Snead, also a rookie this year out of East Carolina, 5'7", 174. Small little guy, quick, agile. He had 201 receptions in college for almost 2,400 yards and 18 touchdowns. Now, here's my reason. He's quick, he's agile, he's potentially it could be another slot player, especially if you think about potentially losing a guy like Deontay Johnson for whatever reason, trade or next year doesn't resign, whatever, doesn't extend his contract. This player also does kick and punt return. He has 2 touchdowns on kick returns in his college career, both coming in the middle 2 years. So actually, freshman year and sophomore year is what it looks like. But then also in his sophomore year, he has 3 passing touchdowns as well.
Ooh, that could be fun.
That could be very fun. I think back to Hines Ward catching a touchdown in the Super Bowl against Seattle from a wide receiver by the name of Antoine Randall. I'm excited for potentially having some trickery back in the playbook. We kind of lost it when Ben lost his step and things couldn't happen the same way we wanted it to. I think that there's a chance that he makes the practice squad and might even sneak onto the 53-man roster at some point. So that's my guy, Tyler Snead.
Yeah, I like it. That's a fun one. Definitely not one of mine. I'm a little concerned about his long speed. That's the only thing there. But a real quick dude with great experience as far as the return game. And honestly, behind Gunnar Olszewski, we don't have a lot of dudes that have some good experience with success returning kicks. So he should be a fun one right there. My number 2, I'm going to the defensive side of the ball. This is the one that I'm concerned about. That might be one of yours as well.
Well, my last guy's on offense, so.
We're good, unless my last guy matches up with your last guy, because he's also on offense. But my number 2 guy, I did go with a draft pick, but it's a 7th rounder, Mark Robinson. I almost.
Yeah,
this is a hitter, man. This is a guy that only had 1 year at the linebacker position, so he's really just a lump of clay. A very athletic dude, very strong. I want to say he was something stupid like 34 reps on the bench or something. Real strong guy. Well built. When you look at him, you just see big barrel chest, big strong arms. This is the kind of guy that can stuff the run, which has been such a huge issue for Pittsburgh. And I think they're going to put an emphasis on that in the linebacker room this year. I mean, your 2 top guys are who they are, right? Miles Jack, Devin Bush. They're not going to change. They are who they are. They're going to be the starters. But behind that, we need some guys that are going to show up with some pop and really hit some running backs and make some noise and really make an impact against the run game. This is a guy that's nothing but potential because he doesn't have a lot of bad habits. He hasn't been playing the position to have the bad habits. So with the coaching we have now, with the return full-time with Jerry Olszewski being there all year this upcoming year, and now Brian Flores there as well, this guy could really turn into something. So I'm excited about the year for Mark Robinson, and I think he might even sneak onto the 53.
I like that one. I like all of them. I like all of them so far. This one I think you'll like, but I'm not certain. We'll find out. The next guy I have is on the offense. He's on the offensive line. And he, if I remember correctly, was an undrafted free agent this year.
You said he was a defensive player, your last one.
No, offensive.
Oh, okay. There's a chance we got the same guy then. Let's go.
College is Alabama.
We're good.
Okay. Chris Owens. Chris Owens, the center from Alabama. 6'3", 305 pounds. The reason I have him as my sleeper is the center position is basically it's not up for grabs, but depth there is. You think we drafted a guy last year who potentially could be moving to guard. You've had some different players from different positions play this over the last few years with, well, I should really just say last year. And then we just signed Mason Cole. Mason Cole's expected to come in and be the starter. If Kendrick Green moves over to guard, you need some depth there at the center position. And we have guys like, I almost said Sternberger because you got me talking about Jace. Why can't I remember his name now?
J.C. Hassenauer.
Hassenauer, thank you. Yeah. But after that, it's a big question mark. So I think that Chris Owens, again, 6'3", 305, looking at his draft profile and all the stuff online that I was seeing, watching some film, all the things that are weaknesses are teachable things. They're things that you can learn and improve with time and with coaching and with players helping. And again, we've talked about another player who came from Alabama as an undrafted free agent and now starts on the offensive line, in Chuks Okorafor. Or Ola. No, why can't I say?
No, that was Hassenauer.
Hassenauer.
He's undrafted.
You're right, center. Excuse me.
He won't be starting this year.
No, he's not. But again, similar line of path. I have Chris Owens being the sleeper.
I'm with you, Chris Owens. He's not my third guy, but I do like Chris Owens, and I think there's a very clear path for him to get to the practice squad this year. And then in future years here, we'll see how the interior offensive line really molds and shapes. But I could see him stealing J.C. Hassenauer's position as a backup center. We'll see how he plays. I'm excited to see him. I like that he's a bigger size guy than Hassenauer. And like you said, the path is already there. They just did this like 3 years ago with Hassenauer. Hassenauer is about to get a little bit more expensive as you're not going to be able to have him on those rookie minimum deals anymore. This is a guy that you can sneak through with those little deals. So we'll see how that goes, but I am definitely excited to see Chris play this preseason. My final one, also on the offensive side of the football, also on the offensive line.
I know who it is.
Also an undrafted free agent, rookie. Going to be Mr. Jordan Tucker out of UNC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of anytime you can bring somebody in with this kind of size. He's 6'6", 340 pounds. Good experience going against good competition there at UNC. Give me lumps of clay, man. We need the backup tackle position right now. To me, you have a bunch of guys that have been in the league for like 4 or 5 years, and none of them have developed into quality starters yet. Your best one of the group is Joe Hag, and Joe Hag is a serviceable backup, and you can use him as a fill-in for a short amount of time, and he's going to be okay for a game or two, but you don't want him to be a starter for 6 games or 8 games or anything. Crap really hit the fan last year when he started playing starter at left tackle, so we need to be able to develop some young guys. I would love to see this gentleman get a shot on the practice squad, get a chance in an NFL weight room for a year and come back next year with the coaching of the new offensive line coach, Pat Myers. Let's see what he can do with some of these young guys. Don't keep on bringing back the same veterans that are already washed out on other teams. Let's try some youth and let's see what he can mold them into. I'm excited for some guys like this, for Jordan Tucker, for Chris Owens. I think these guys could be something in the future. Not necessarily like starters, but at least high quality backups.
Yeah, I'm with you there, especially at the offensive line, because it's been such a hit or miss over the past few years with the I don't want to say lack of talent, because the talent's kind of been there, but the lack of just operating on full cylinders 100% all the time. We haven't been getting that nasty we've talked about. Having some youth generated into this and maybe refueling the nasty pump. Who knows? Maybe we'll get something crazy over the next few years. We'll get a nice line together like the one that helped us win Super Bowl 50. And we had some good offensive linemen back then.
And it's time to hit on some of these undrafted guys again. Ramon Foster was an excellent starter for the Steelers for years. Even Alejandro Villanueva, both of these guys were undrafted. It's time to start hitting on some of these undrafted guys again and develop them through the ranks. So let's see what they can do with some of these guys. But you know how you don't develop them is by hanging on to a bunch of guys that are already washed out that are just okay.
Yep, that's true. So that's going to do it for today's show, guys. We're so excited. We have one more show before we go to training camp. So next week we will have a show either Monday or Tuesday night, and then we'll get that out to you guys. And then the following weekend, we will be leaving Friday immediately after work. James is going to come with me on my route, make sure we get done in time to hit the road and get to Latrobe to the high school for Friday Night Lights training camp or Friday Night Lights practice. And then we'll be there overnight as well. And then we'll be there Saturday for training camp that day as well. So be looking forward to that. If you guys are going or want to go, hit us up on social media. All of our social medias are below us on the image right now on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can pull it up and see at the bottom. And then also make sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, potentially TikTok, at Steelers by the Lake. Subscribe and ring the bell on YouTube. It's free. We're working on getting our TikTok back. We'll give you an update on that as well. We can't thank you guys enough. Until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.